Let's talk about the TGA, the Treasury General Account. Today the TGA went up quite a bit, and let's look into why. If you go to this page here, I've got a list of reports, and you can go to the net liquidity chart report, and once that comes up, by default it's showing net liquidity, but you can turn that off and turn on TGA, and that's how you get to this report here. So there you can see a jump up over basically today. Now, if you go back to this list of reports and hit a net liquidity table, you'll get this page. And if we scroll down, we can see here the TGA is currently 854 billion, and today it went up by 51 billion. So let's go back to this page, or the list of reports, and take a look at the TGA components for today. So here we have a Treasury Gov TGA top. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to do latest. And we get this, which shows the deposits and withdrawals in the TGA. It's the report that comes out today, but it's always a day after, right? So these are numbers for yesterday, but of course we're seeing it only today. And at the bottom, we can see the public debt change is 66 billion. So it went up by 66 billion due to public debt, but the total change was 51 billion. So the other deposits and withdrawals account for that offset. And here in the line items, you can see under deposits, you can see public debt cash issues, and then redemptions. So the difference there you can see accounts for the 66 billion. Now let's take a closer look at that public debt change. So if we go back to the list of reports and go into Treasury Direct issued maturing, and we scroll down to the latest report, which was for today, the TGA data we're looking at was for the 31st, so yesterday. And there we can see something interesting. For notes, there was 245 billion that were issued. However, only 192 billion matured. So it was a net change of 52 billion. So there was a net issuance of 52 billion. And similarly for bonds, we see that 14 billion was issued, nothing matured, and so there was a net issuance of 14 billion. So the total change for the day between notes and bonds, nothing happened on bills, was today was for 66 billion, and that's where we get that number that we saw in the TGA. Now let's go back to this chart. As I mentioned, the TGA today ended up right at about 850 billion. So let's look into why 850 billion is an interesting number. This past Monday, so on July 29th, there was a press release on treasury.gov which mentioned the following. I've highlighted this phrase here where it says end of September cash balance of 850 billion. So what they're telling us is that the Treasury expects the TGA to be at around 850 billion by the end of September. Today we're August 1st. So basically, since we know the TGA is likely to end up at around 850 billion, and we're currently at 850 billion, essentially, if for whatever reason, if the TGA were to climb up from here, like the way it did back in at this point back in April, if it were to climb up, while that is a drain on liquidity because it's money moving into the TGA, we know that by the end of September, it's going to have to drop back down to this level. So that's just something you can, keep in mind as you watch the TGA. If it happens to grow, hey, it's going to pull back, or very likely to pull back, unless there's some emergency or whatever, back to 850. So that's kind of the way to read this between here and the end of September. So we've got basically 2 months, August, September. Similarly, if the TGA were for whatever reason to drop significantly from here, while that in itself is good for liquidity because it's money flowing out of the TGA and flowing somewhere else, um, just keep in mind that if we drop below this 850 level, it's going to have to go back up. So let's just say this were to drop down and that flows into the markets. Maybe the markets do well along with that drop, fine. But then just keep in mind that at some point it is going to return to this point. So that's one of the reasons it's good to see these notices and just keep in mind these checkpoints. When they say, hey, at the end of September, it's going to be this much. If you look at the next bullet point here, it says end of December cash balance of 700 billion. So once we cross the end of September checkpoint, then we'll start thinking about, okay, where's the TGA at that point? Well, it's going to be hopefully around 850 if everything goes as planned, and then from there we can start to navigate and see, how it works its way back to 700. I'll add the links that I used here in the description. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you.